What's up everyone, hope you all are having a good day. Today I'm going to be doing a quick but in-depth review of the 8bitdo retro mechanical keyboard. This is the first proper keyboard review I'm doing on this channel, so I decided to do something a little special and unique. I'm going to talk about everything from build quality, typing experience and a lot more in this video, so make sure you watch till the end. Without further ado, here we go. First, we'll go over the general information and the specs of this keyboard. This keyboard comes in 4 color variants: the C64 edition, the FAMI edition, the N edition and the M edition. The C64 edition is based on the Commodore 64 home computer. The FAMI edition is based on the Nintendo Famicom, short for Family Computer. The N edition is inspired by the NES, which is the Nintendo Entertainment System. And finally, the M edition, which we have here today for the video, is based on the legendary IBM Model M keyboard. This is a TKL keyboard or a 10 keyless keyboard. This means that this keyboard is lacking the numpad and only has 87 keys instead of the 104 keys that you will find on full-sized keyboards. This gives more mouse space while gaming and in my opinion also looks cleaner. You can buy an additional numpad that matches the keyboard. I have the numpad here as well and I'll do a short additional review on that towards the end of this video. This keyboard comes with N-key rollover, which is a feature that all keyboards in 2024 should have and usually do. Basically what this means is that when you press multiple keys at once, they'll register on your computer individually. N-key means that it will work even if you press all the keys on the keyboard at the same time. There used to be keyboards which had 10-key rollover back in the day, but now N-key just means they'll work with every key. The keyboard comes with Kale Box White V2 switches, which are one of the best clicky switches out there at the moment. The switches are hot swappable, which means that you can replace these switches with any other switches that you would like without having to open up the keyboard. More on this later in the video along with a sound test. There is no included keycap or switch puller in the box, which is weird because this keyboard is hot swappable. Although I'm pretty sure if you're buying this keyboard, you'll stick to the stock configuration anyways. The keycaps on this keyboard are dye sublimated PBT keycaps in an MDA profile, and they come in different colorways on each of the variants of the keyboard. Note that the C64 variant comes with ABS keycaps in an MOA profile. The 8bitdo keyboard has a metal top plate and is a top mounted keyboard. The case is ABS plastic. It comes with a 2000 mAh battery with an advertised battery life of 200 use hours. It weighs just over a kilogram. The keyboard can be connected via Bluetooth with an included 2.4 GHz dongle or wired via USB-C. You can customize the keyboard a fair bit with the 8bitdo Ultimate software. You can download the software from the 8bitdo website, link down below. In terms of compatibility, this keyboard works with Windows and Android. It also works with macOS, but it doesn't have the command and option keys. You can customize this in the software though, so that's not a big issue in my opinion. In terms of pricing, the N, M and the Famicom editions of the keyboard cost $100 US and the C64 edition costs $110 US. The C64 edition also comes with an additional super stick though, which justifies the $10 price change. The keyboard comes in a nice box which is very smooth to open. There's a ton of protective foam to prevent damage during shipping. In the box we see the keyboard, a fast mapping quick start guide which also has a list of the common Windows shortcuts on the back, a couple of sticker sheets for the super buttons, more on that in a minute, and an instruction manual. Underneath the keyboard is an included USB A to C cable and the super buttons. We'll start with the keyboard and then get to the super buttons and the software. The 8bitdo retro mechanical keyboard looks absolutely gorgeous. Its inspiration from the Model M is very apparent and the changes that have been made to make the keyboard more modern are very subtle and tastefully done. The keyboard is built like a tank. It's hefty enough that it doesn't move around when using it on the desk. The rubber feet help in that as well. The bottom case and the top case are ABS plastic with a retro look that spreads across the entire keyboard. There is a plate of metal under the top case which adds a nice weight to the keyboard and also makes the typing experience crispier and sturdier. On the back we have the dongle which is held in place magnetically. We also see a USB-C port for wired connection and charging. You can also see these 4 ports that look like 3.5mm headphone jacks, but they're actually ports to connect the accessories to. They included super button and also the extensions that you can buy separately, namely the Super ABXY buttons and the Super Stick. It looks like there is nothing on the right of the keyboard, but actually there are magnets within the case which connect to the magnets in the separately purchasable 8bitdo numpad. It's a neat little feature that a lot of people miss out on because they don't own the 8bitdo numpad. I luckily have one because my girlfriend Fifi gifted one to me before I actually even got the keyboard. This is a top mounted keyboard, which means there is practically zero flex when typing. which makes for a very stiff typing experience. This results in a very uniform typing experience across the keyboard, unlike what you see in some gasket-mounted keyboards these days. There are no visible screws on the keyboard anywhere, and I don't want to pry open this beautiful case and damage it in the process, so I'm not gonna look at the internals sadly. That is one downside to this keyboard, because I would have loved to see what it sounded like with a bunch of foam and polyfill stuffed in it. This keyboard comes with some unique features. The first knob is used to change the connectivity method. The second knob is a volume knob. It is a freely rotating knob and doesn't stop rotating, so it's basically like other knobs you see on the keyboards. It has a very distinct tactile feel to it when rotating, which I really like. The first button is the connection button, which is used for pairing the keyboard. The second button is the mapping button, which is used for assigning macros to the B and A buttons on the right bottom row, and also for the super buttons. The third button is for switching between different profiles. This needs to be set up in the 8bitdo Ultimate software. On the top, there's this blank space which is reminiscent of the IBM Model M's blank top section. It is the perfect canvas for art or stickers if you would like to do that. It looks neat as it is though. To the right, we see the caps lock, scroll lock and power indicator LEDs. Now for the most important aspect of a keyboard, the typing experience. The keyboard comes with Kale box white V2 switches, which is a very nice clicky switch. It's fairly high pitched, unlike the deeper sounding box jade counterpart from Kale. I really like the way these sound in the keyboard. The hollowness and pinginess of the board is quite apparent, but considering that this is supposed to be kinda mimicking the buckling spring switches of the IBM Model M, that actually makes a lot of sense. These feel really nice to type on with a super sharp and crisp tactile feel during actuation. It's a hot swappable PCB, so you can swap out the switches to some other switches that you enjoy more. The keycaps on the M edition are die-sub PBT keycaps with an MDA-like profile. They have a nice grippy texture to them. Really nice typing experience. I especially enjoy the slight concavity that these keycaps have. The stabilizers are okay at best. They're not uneven, but they do need clipping, and maybe a bandage mod in my opinion. But I won't be opening this keyboard, so that won't be possible. At least not yet. There isn't much rattle, but there is an ever so slight feeling of scratchiness. Here is a sound test of the keyboard. As you can see, this is quite the loud keyboard. thanks to the box white switches and the big hollow space within the keyboard. This isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it's actually quite the fun typing experience. I had some trouble with the Ultimate software. It didn't detect my keyboard at first, but after a reinstallation of the software, it seems to work just fine. With the software, you can remap the keys on the keyboard and set macros. You can also set different profiles to switch to, with the profile button mentioned before. The super buttons are these massive macro buttons that come separate to the keyboard. They're attached to the keyboard via this 3.5mm jack to the back of the keyboard. I think this is very annoying, and it adds an ugly cable to the desk alongside a wireless keyboard. Functionally, the super buttons work separately from the A and B macro buttons on the keyboard. They have a heavier switch in them, a Catron green switch of some sort that provides a nice click. It uses a heavier switch because you will most likely be smashing it with multiple fingers or even with a slap. The super button has structures underneath to stabilize the switch and prevents the switch from feeling wobbly. The 8bitdo retromechanical numpad is like a smaller version of the 8bitdo retromechanical keyboard. It's a perfect fit to the keyboard and attaches magnetically to this right side of the keyboard. It's a shame that it doesn't also attach to the left side of the keyboard, but we get what we get. It doesn't need to be paired with the 8bitdo keyboard to function. It works exactly the same on its own without an 8bitdo keyboard. The numpad comes with the same Kale box white V2 switches as the keyboard. It also comes in the same 4 variants as the keyboard. And yes, the C64 variant also comes with ABS keycaps. The numpad actually doubles as a standalone calculator as well, which is a nice little feature. In fact, this is what I use it the most for. It connects via 3 modes, USB-C wired, Bluetooth, and an included 2.4 GHz dongle. The screen also acts as a battery indicator, which is quite helpful. I won't discuss the specs of the numpad in detail, but if you would like to check it out, you can click on the link in the description. The numpad comes in at a price of $45 US, which I think is a little steep, but it's not too high for what it offers either IMO. In conclusion, the 8bitdo retromechanical keyboard is a really nice keyboard that pays homage to older legends. It is a very beautiful addition to your desk setup and honestly would make a really nice gift for a parent. The typing experience is amazing and it is without any compromises. The accessories are a bit pricey, but they provide convenient features such as macros. The only things I dislike about this package are as follows. The case is extremely difficult to open up, so it is difficult to mod without causing scratches or dings around the edges. At this price point, the lack of an included keycap and switch puller is very disappointing. The annoying and ugly wires used for connecting the accessories to this keyboard are, well, annoying and ugly. And the lack of height adjustable feet on a plastic case keyboard is not something I'm used to seeing. If you're someone that appreciates the aesthetic of these keyboards, then I'm sure this will be an awesome and enjoyable purchase. At the $90 US price point, this is a great keyboard. Thanks for watching, and if this video was helpful or enjoyable, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I will be doing a lot more keyboard and controller reviews in the near future. Have a nice day and goodbye!